This is the Insta360 EVO, a 360 camera with a neat little trick up its sleeve. Okay, the Insta360 EVO, you've just seen the little trick that it can do. It starts off as a 360-degree camera. We have a camera here and a camera there with two 180-degree kind of fisheye lenses. They're back to back as you would expect, so you get that full 360-degree vision. However, unclip it just there and it hinges round so that now we have the two cameras replicating human vision. So we have two fisheye-esque kind of lenses, 180-degree field of view, but now we have a left and a right, and that means that it matches human vision. These are about 62 to 64 millimeters apart, the same as a pair of human eyes. So these cameras are recording, and that means that we can shoot 180-degree 3D kind of VR vision footage. Now, before we start talking about the footage and what you can do, let's have a run through the body itself. So as I said, there's just a hinge just right down the middle here, and it locks and unclips via these catches. So press that button, puts it back there, and then we can just push this little catch and it locks it back into being a 360-degree camera. On the side, we have micro USB for charging, takes a couple of hours to charge the battery, and we also have a micro SD card that it can record onto. Now on top we have a power button. Hold that down for a couple of seconds to power on the camera, and it also stops recording, and it can also take a still image. It acts as a shutter button, and then we have a sort of mode button there, and that switches between shooting stills or shooting video. Now obviously you can get the most out of the camera if you're connecting it to a phone, which it does via sort of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. However, you can use it on its own. And the other thing we have, of course, on the bottom, a tripod thread, and then there are microphones at the very edges either side, so one here and one there, so that we can record in stereo. Now obviously very small microphone, so don't expect the quality of that to be up to too much, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's connect it up to my phone and we'll talk through the various video features that we've got on the camera. Now this is the Insta360 bullet time selfie stick thing. Now it's designed for swinging around your head, so you can do that kind of bullet time shots. We've seen Locke do that before, but I'm just going to use it as a kind of selfie stick. Now obviously the camera and the software knows how long the selfie stick is and where it is in the footage, so it actually blurs it out quite nicely, and that's because it's kind of on the seam where the two cameras are. Obviously it's important to have these cameras as close together as possible. Now here they're a little bit further apart than you'd normally find them on an Insta360 camera, and that means you do get a seam, so it's important to place the camera so that whatever you want to be the key thing in your frame isn't down that seam. So you want one of the lenses pointing towards you like I am now. Okay, so recording wise, you can record up to 5.7K at 30 frames a second, but bear in mind if you're viewing it as a sort of 16:9 on a television or on a mobile phone or laptop screen, you're never going to see that full 5.7K because you're going to be zooming in on one area of it. So you can do 5.7K at 30 frames a second, or you can shoot 4K at 50 frames a second. Now 4K at 50p is going to be great when you're shooting in that 180-degree VR mode, because it's going to give you that kind of hyper-realistic movement that's going to give you a better impression as if you were actually there. Now the camera will also shoot 180 or 360 time-lapse footage, which is awesome, particularly of the 360, because you can then edit what you're looking at around the frame as it comes back. So your time lapse could start by looking down and end up by looking way up in the sky or behind you or wherever. You get to decide what you're looking at, and that's the great thing about these cameras. Now if you're shooting in 180-degree footage in the VR 3D mode, then when you're doing a time lapse, it'll feel like you're actually there and time's kind of passing around you really quickly. So as I'm holding the 360 camera up here, we can see on the screen, I can just scroll around and view actually sort of anywhere. Again, it's important to have one of the cameras pointing directly at your face, because if I get stuck in the seam like there, you can see it gets a little bit sort of blurry where the stitching joins together. Now I'm going to go for a quick walk and we'll just see what this is like, the internal microphone, etc. for vlogging. Let's go. Now the quality drops on the phones, obviously it's streaming at the same time. I'll just go for a walk over here. And should I go around there? Let's go out. Very prickly. And I'll walk up here. Let's walk back to where I was filming amongst this gorse. Prickling me right through the jeans. And this will give you an idea of what the quality is like. And obviously you can edit it afterwards and get any kind of views, which hopefully as you're watching this back, I am doing now. So how do you look back at the 180 degree footage? Well, your phone basically splits in half. So you get one image for your left eye, one for the right eye, just like any other kind of virtual reality software that plays, you know, the footage back. You get these very, very cheap kind of viewers. Put your phone in the back and look up, and then you'll be able to see, and you'll be able to track it. So, you know, as you turn your head around, you'll be able to see that full 180 degrees in 3D, which is really cool. These are okay. A headset's going to be better, but there is one other thing that Insta360 are providing, and it's this actual phone case that I've already got on my phone here. It actually goes on the front, and it's kind of like those rulers that you used to get as a kid, where, you know, had pictures of dinosaurs or something on it, and if you moved your head or the ruler slightly, the dinosaur moved, just because your eyes were seeing a slightly different picture. There were kind of two pictures and it was blocked. Anyway, it's that kind of design on the case. So you go through a process on the Insta360 app, and you set this case up, you align everything perfectly, and then it kind of splits the screen into two images. Imagine two sets of lines, and one line is for your left eye, one line is for your right eye. They're kind of interlaced side by side, and because of kind of the interlacing on the case, as you move around, you're only ever going to see one thing. One eye is only ever going to see one thing, the other eye is going to see the other side. So you actually get a kind of holographic 3D effect just from using a phone case, which we've seen that before, I think, somewhere else, but it's a really just neat trick and a cheap way, accessible way that you can show some of the 3D footage that you've shot to your friends really easily. And it started to rain, so let's wrap this up. Now, quality wise, again, we've got 5.7K footage, which is great. Just remember, you're not looking at all of that 5.7K. You're only ever looking at a small section, something probably between Full HD and 720 in terms of resolution, depending on how much you've kind of zoomed into that footage. Now, where I see this being really exciting is you can kind of accept the slight drop in quality because we're using sort of compact camera, small mobile phone sensors. But what's more exciting is just how creative you can be with it. I'm excited about going to places and filming them in 180 degree VR and being able to show my family and friends and have them look around the scene or look down from a mountaintop and get a bit dizzy because it feels like they're actually there. All of that stuff's going to be quite exciting, and I'm looking forward to just playing with it. It's very different from using a normal stills or video camera, and I think just that experience of playing and trying new different creative things is going to be really eye-opening. Now, for vloggers, obviously it's going to be great as well. Imagine doing a vlog in 3D VR, you know, at a location. It will feel like somebody's actually there with you. Or, you know, the 360 degree thing, we've seen it before where you can pick any point within that 360 degree sphere to show on camera. So it makes it very useful for doing multiple camera setups. It's something that I'm going to be taking with me just as a B cam, just so that I get a different perspective and I can pull out different views aside from the main camera. So it's a useful bit of kit, even though the quality obviously doesn't match a camera with a larger sensor. You know, it's certainly kind of on par with a kind of GoPro kind of quality, sort of, not quite there maybe, but again, just remember you're cropping into that 5.7K image. Now, there's a ton of stuff you can do with this, and it's going to be loads of fun, so keep watching Photo Gear News to see how we use the Insta360 EVO in a lot more detail over the next few months. I'm getting soaked, so I'm going to call it a day here. Thanks for watching.